Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in part three of our entertainment show each week, we premiere a new movie or TV series that is debuting here in Ireland and the UK, and especially here in Ireland where Irish eyes are smiling. It's the month of July now, and as the humid, hot, tepid summers come our way, what better way than have an action blockbuster, sort of a thriller, dare I say, to get the heart racing, to get that adrenaline jumping. And we have a treat for you this week. We're going to be talking about a blockbuster action movie called Channel, which in many ways for me reflects on the classic movie of the 90s, starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Val Kilmer, the iconic movie Heat. For me, this is a sort of a representation of that in terms of what we see. And we have features an all-star cast, including Max Martini, Paul Rae, Michael Thomas, Todd Jenkins, Julia Joyner, and our special guest this evening, the one and only Clayne Crawford. Clayne, first of all, the Channel. I saw, when I saw the trailer and I saw representations of this movie, Heat immediately jumped to my mind in terms of that sort of semis, in terms of the brothership between Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer, in terms of that, and the FBI element in Al Pacino. Do you sort of see similarities in terms of what he produced in terms of that classic movie?
I mean, look, first of all, it's great to be on the show again. Look, that's high praise. What Michael Mann did with that film and that cast, that incredible cast of actors. I don't know if it would be hard for me to kind of put it in that category, but I do agree with you that it certainly has that 90s action kind of feel. And I also hope that we as actors, we tried to elevate as much of those moments with great performances. I think sometimes in these action films that gets lost. And I believe that's why we continue to go back to Heat, was again because it was grounded with such incredible actors that made their characters so full and rich that you really couldn't take your eyes off of it. So I hope that we were able to at least kind of be in the ballpark of a film like that. But it's definitely, you better hang on to your ass, because when this movie starts, it does not stop. It is just action packed.
Okay, and I know I've seen the trailer, but for our audience and our viewers who might be listening into this interview for the very first time, Clayne, you might give them a quick synopsis in terms of what the Channel is about.
Yeah, I would. Look, the film follows two brothers, and these brothers are ex-military, and now they rob banks for a living. And when the film opens, you find my character Jamie, and you see him with his brand new baby. So essentially, the film is my character is kind of torn. I'm in a bit of a tug of war between two people that I love very much, which is my wife and my brother, but those they don't run parallel, right? I can't have one and the other, right? I have to choose. And that's quite difficult, again, choosing between family. But yeah, and we've got, you've got law enforcement and the FBI kind of coming after us. So we're on the run a majority of this film. And as we're on the run, we're kind of breaking down our family dynamic and how are we going to kind of move forward. And I guess that's kind of the gist of the film.
Okay, and Clayne, how did this opportunity come at your doorstep? Were you approached for this sort of role? I know you get an awful lot of scripts that come your way, and what made you sort of say yes to this?
It's a good story, actually. I was on, I farm when I'm not making films. I love nothing more than the land that we live on. We raise our own food and fruits and vegetables and cows and chickens and goats. And it is extremely rewarding for me to create a lifestyle that my grandparents they had, and I've been trying to emulate that, and for my own children. So I was on my tractor, and when I'm out in the fields, I leave my phone inside. I try to keep technology at bay as much as possible. And my wife comes out and she's holding my phone. And I'm like, I can't imagine what could be so important. And she said, Max keeps calling. And I was like, well, it's fine. I'll call him back. She goes, no, he's called 2 or 3 times, and we need to make sure you need to make sure that his boys are okay. He has 2 young kids, and I've watched his children grow up as he's watched mine. So I cut everything off and I give Max a call, and Max says, he's like, hey man, are you doing this movie? I go, what movie? He goes, dude, we just got offered a movie. It shoots in New Orleans. I was like, look, I'm on, let me finish work. And he's like, no, listen. They want you to play the older brother and they want me to play the FBI agent. But I think we should play brothers. And, which I love the idea. Without even reading the material, I love the idea of play, because Max and I have worked on 4 films. This is our 4th project. And we met in 2001 doing the Great Raid for Miramax. And so that evening, I read the script, and sure enough, there's 2 brothers, and I couldn't see anyone else playing these 2 guys but Max and I. So we get on the phone with the director, and we said, look, man, I know kind of what you had offered, but we would love, if you're comfortable, if I play the younger brother, he plays the older brother, and you cast whoever you want for the FBI agent. And luckily, Will Kaufman was excited about the idea. So to answer your question, the opportunity to work with Max in every single scene together, and all the films we've done have been high action. Like we did Spectral for Netflix, which was again military. The Great Raid was World War II. So we've always gone through intensive weapons training for the roles. So to be able to incorporate that into this movie and kind of it all accumulating to that one project was pretty exciting.
So, Clayne, I get from you the people that were involved in this project was critical to your decision making in terms of who was involved in terms of this project and the direction that they wanted to take.
Yeah, and I think it always has to be.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can read a piece of material and the script is so great that you don't care who's there. You just want to make sure that you're a part of it, right? But I think for the most part, you're working with these individuals for sometimes 3 months. So it needs to be people that you enjoy spending time with. And I also believe it needs to be with people that you respect as artists. And I didn't really know Will Kaufman coming into this. I wasn't familiar with his work, unfortunately. And but after watching a couple of his films, I realized that this guy had an incredible understanding of action and pace, which is always really important in a film like this. So yeah, the people matter, man.
Okay. And Clayne, can you tell us about the production in terms of shooting of the movie? You mentioned there 3 months in your last statement. Was it a 3 month sort of production? And in terms of about shooting and location, was it a long shoot?
It was not too long. I think we were here for not. It was only about a month and a half. So nothing too crazy. And look, we were in New Orleans, which is such a beautiful city. New Orleans in itself is almost like a piece of art. When you walk out into the streets, it's so textured, and there's music coming from everywhere. The architecture is a piece of art. The people, the sights, the smells, the food, everything here is kind of get you stimulated to be creative. It feeds that. So, and I think in a lot of ways, the city itself kind of played a role in the film. I feel like it's a character in itself because again, it's such a unique town. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Max and we spent more time giggling than we did anything. It was a bit of a challenge to then kind of turn on the hard face and to be a tough guy when we just want to be silly kids.
And Clayne, is this the sort of a premise where you sort of fall in love with the bad guys more than the good guys, that you're more rooting for the bad guys to succeed rather than the good guys? You always get those sort of vibes in certain movies where crowd and an audience are more intrigued about the bad guys' story and the bad guys coming out the good side rather than the good guys getting their guys.
Anti-heroes are fun, aren't they?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I think there's I guess because we all in all of us we feel like at different points in our lives or different situations, different circumstances, we've all felt like the hero and we've all felt like the villain. And I think each time we're able to justify it in some way. And for me, anytime I can take a quote bad guy and humanize him and allow an audience to fall in love with him, that's just a true gift. And yes, I would say 100%. I don't know if I think you're definitely rooting for the bad guys, but I don't feel like that you look at law enforcement as the villain in this story. I think the circumstances that kind of dictate that.
And you mentioned there about the fast sort of pace of the movie in terms of the speed, the sort of adrenaline rush that sort of takes you on. And obviously, some of those movies are steeped in terms of the stunts, in terms of what we see, and in terms of the action packed, in terms of the stunts and the stunt team involved in the channel. Is there some sort of, apart from the gunfight, do we see many exhilarating stunt scenes or chase scenes in the movie?
Oh yeah, nonstop. I mean, there's a shootout scene that honestly, my kid, I made a mistake and I took my child to this movie last night, but I didn't, outside of language, there wasn't really too much that I thought he couldn't handle. Nowadays kids, they're exposed to so much that I thought, and he knew he was here while I was shooting it. And buddy, I took him outside he got up and left the movie and I walked out there. I go, well, I said, are you okay? He's like, Papa, I'm 10. Okay, this is a lot. So there's definitely a lot of stunts. There's a lot of it's again, as I said at the beginning of the interview, it's high powered action nonstop. And we were really lucky to have a great stunt team. They worked with us day and night to kind of get us prepared so that Max and I could do as much as humanly possible so that the audience stays engaged with the characters.
And I suppose, Clayne, you've been involved in an awful lot of projects that have gone worldwide. And I know you've done some projects that are dear to your heart that may have stayed in terms of the United States and Canada. But when a movie goes global in terms of its sort of release, is that exciting for an actor to think that his work is going to be seen in different parts of the world, like Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland? I know sometimes actors love the sort of indie movies that maybe are just within the confines of America or Canada. But is there almost a thrill for an actor when he's involved in a project that has an international factor to it?
I think yes, anytime you have an opportunity to reach a wider audience, I mean that's why I do this. I love to entertain. So to be able to share a project with as many people as possible is always the goal. I think even when you make a little indie film, for us when we did The Killing of Two Lovers, we never thought in a million years that that film would have a worldwide release because I shot it for $30,000. It was a tiny little movie, and to reach that wide is such a blessing. So, without a doubt, to have this film go as wide as it has is extremely exciting.
Yeah. And Clayne, before we came on air, you mentioned two projects to me. One that you can't disclose in terms of where it might be featuring for the moment, but and maybe you can give our audience some viewers that I know it's a busy time, 2023 for Clayne Crawford, and we might be seeing you more on our TV screens here in Ireland and the UK later on in the year.
Yeah, I mean, we have, I know Joseph Chambers, which we premiered at Tribeca. That's going to be on in the UK, in Ireland, and Scotland is coming up, I think, on Sky TV. But yes, I have two great films that I'm very excited about. One is Paramount. It's called The Finest Kind, directed by Brian Hagelin, who wrote LA Confidential and Mystic River. Incredible talent. He directed 42. That's with Tommy Lee Jones and Ben Foster and Jenna Ortega. I'm very excited for that film. That'll be a worldwide release this fall. And then I have another film called King's Tide that we shot in Newfoundland, that again I'm very proud of, and we should be able to make an announcement in the next couple of weeks about those two projects. But very exciting stuff for the fall with both of those films.
And Clayne, is it an exciting time for you as an actor again to have the Hollywood entertainment business, New York, all opening up again its doors after some, really, dare I say, some challenging years during the COVID era where the industry was really tested at the moment? I know we have the writers' strike going on at the moment, and we hope everyone hopes that resolved and the writers get what they sort of deserve. But the industry is making its steps back again after some serious knockdowns over the last sort of few years. And how exciting is it for you as an actor now, again, after some of those times when, as actors in industry, you sort of worried about your own profession, whether it would have get back to the stages it was at, to be heading into 2024 and to have all these scripts coming your way once again?
It's definitely exciting, but I have to say for us, when COVID hit, we used it as an opportunity to go make films. And I started pulling in friends, and we started making little movies in my backyard, in my little hometown, So I made Joseph Chambers during COVID. We'd finished up Killing Your Two Lovers. I think we premiered in 2020, So for us, I try to always use a negative situation to our advantage. But to answer your question, I think all of us are thrilled that the world is getting back to normal. I think we all have quite a few questions of what the heck that all was and what happened during that time, and how do you really even shut the world down? But for us to be kind of moving forward, and I agree with you. I'm hoping that we can resolve this writer strike, because it is a bit challenging to get out of the pandemic and then you jump right back into another situation that kind of shuts Hollywood down. But I have 3 children, and again, my farm. So I never lose sight of how grateful or how blessed we are to be in that situation and to have that quality time with them. So again, and I try to just take each moment as it comes. And right now I'm enjoying being a dad and a farmer, and it's good stuff.
And from me to you, the farmer speaking, if you can enlighten all our audience, so for the final 30 seconds, Clayne, why they should go out and mass to their cinema screens on July the 14th, whether they come in their tractors, trains, automobiles to the cinema screens, sit down their recliners, put their feet up, maybe have that massage at the back of their neck, have the popcorn, the Maltesers, the Pepsi, enjoy the channel, and what's in store for them?
Look, man, any opportunity to get out of the heat of summer is always a gift. And look, if you just want to go and turn off your brain and enjoy a wild ride, the channel is it.
Okay, on that note, Clayne Crawford, for me, Jim Conlan, a pleasure as always speaking to you on the airwaves. Great catching up with you again, Clayne, after a few years. We wish you all the success with the channel and other movies coming in your pipeline. But for the moment, all I can say is, for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Clayne Crawford, stay safe, take care, and God bless, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take care, Clayne.